Season of the Wish dropped 43 new weapons on us, 3 exotics and 40 legendaries. We didn't get a single new hand cannon, aggressive frame shoddy, or adaptive sniper. We did get reissues of some previously impactful PvP weaponry such as Uzume or Raking Vigil, but these aren't better than their prior versions, which means they can't keep up with modern power creep. Furthermore, some are actually worse, like in the case of Eye of Soul, which can't get opening shot and snapshot because they're in the same column. Can't roll Celerity because Bungie retired one of the best perks for 1v3s in the game, and also can't roll snapshot and an anti-super perk like box breathing or Vorpal because again, Vorpal or Firing Line, which are both mid perks that it can roll, are in the same column as Snapshot. I'll circle back to this sniper because it's probably one of the best in the game still. It's just really fucking annoying that it got worse than it used to be. Alright, so classic PvP enjoyers aren't eating, well, I was gonna say good, but we really aren't eating at all, are we? Anyways, what about New Age guys? Any good autos, pulses, or other annoying ass weapons to make people question the legality of your existence? Short answer, yes. Roughly 12 out of the 40 new legendaries this season fit that criteria. These weapons are, in no particular order, Vengeful Whisper, Lethophobia, Rossarago 4, Lethal Abundance, Breakneck, Tiger's Bite, Imperative, Belisarius D, Scalar Potential, Adhortative, Inciser, and Scatter Signal. Starting us off strong, a bow. Vengeful Whisper is literally Rakentor but strand and you can't craft it. Slice could be very interesting and it fits right into the extremely cancerous Threadling build that's currently destroying all competitive aspects of Trials. That being said, it shares a column with the Holy Grail perk of bows that is Archer's Tempo, so if you aren't using it to put worms under your enemy's skin, you should probably just run Rakentor. Offhand Strike and Hatchling are in a similar situation as they both share a column with successful warm-up. It's definitely not a bad bow. I'd just say that craftable alternatives are kind of ruining the appeal for me personally since I'm not a strand crutching degenerate. Following this up is the best bow in the game. No, I'm not kidding. Lethophobia is a massive issue, all because of one perk. No, jackass, it's Disruption Break. This brain-dead, I mean, extremely well-designed perk provides a very balanced 50% buff to kinetic weapon damage on a target for 5.5 seconds after their shield has been broken. And because Bungie loves us just so much, this is on a weapon called a bow. And when a headshot is landed with a bow, it perfectly breaks your shield. You will then swap to your hand cannon of choice, probably Thorn, perform a swift hipfire body shot, and simultaneously commit a hate crime by killing someone in 0.54 seconds. As if that wasn't enough though, you can craft this piece of shit, because why not? I fucking hate bows, man. You can make this slightly more consistent with Impulse Amplifier, as that makes your bow more likely to land hits at extreme range, but you seriously don't need to care about that stuff. This is broken enough, even if you had the worst possible bow roll, that it doesn't really matter. I may make a video about this, but then it's definitely going in my list of forbidden loadouts not to use ever that I keep hidden under my bed. I really don't want you to use this setup, but you have to wield it with responsibility. I'm trusting you. Actually, fuck that. I'm not trusting shit. Sorry. Starting off the list of weapons that are good this season, 3 autos in rapid succession. Rossarago 4, Lethal Abundance, and Breakneck are all good options, but not best in slot. I'd like to recommend them, however, given that they come from World Drops, Iron Banner, and Gambit respectively, you're in for a ride if you decide to go get any of these. That being said, Ross is the first Void adaptive we've seen since fucking Gnawing Hunger 5 years ago, and rolls Onslaught and Dynamic Sway Reduction. It could be pretty disgusting, but it lacks the real juice of Zen Moment. Thus, I don't know if it'll be enough to compete with the absolute beast of a weapon that is Gnawing Hunger right now. Abundance gets absolutely clowned on in most ways. It has worse recoil direction, stats, and scaling than a Fragile Focus Kill Clip Lodrock, which can simply be focused at the gunsmith whenever Hawkeye is in rotation. However, if you are going to grind one, the rolls I'd suggest are either Keep Away or Slice, and Onslaught. You're also going to need as much range as you can squeeze out of this thing as possible, because range in this case is akin to a small rickety 4-foot fence, and on the other side of that fence is a pit bull named Gnawing Hunger with a Zen Moment waiting to rip you to pieces. Point is, 360s are very playable, but 600s, 720s, and lest we forget SMGs, all exist, and are really pissed off right now. The upside of this thing is that you can leave the recoil direction where it is, because its base deterministic recoil is really easy to control. This means you can hard spec handling or range with no downside. Slice does some pretty cool things like making hand cannons 4-tap you, but in my opinion it's not competitive enough to stand out, as most ARs will flinch you to high hell and make that happen anyway. Overall, it's a solid weapon in the sandbox of Osmium tier choices. Now we come to Breakneck, which is a 450. 450s are the epitome of okay right now, unless you have high range, and I mean 95 plus, because at that point what you have is no longer an AR, but a full fully automatic scout rifle that doesn't flinch, locks onto heads, and kills in 0.8 seconds at 37 meters. Breakneck isn't technically an uber stat weapon, but with a best in slot default recoil of 80 and stats that barely edge out most other options, it's damn close. The perk options you've got on this thing are also quite plentiful. DSR, Keep Away, Heating Up, and Eye of the Storm all make good pairings with Onslaught, and Moving Target, Tap the Trigger, or Adagio are also solid options in that column depending on what you want. I personally would really like to try a Heating Up Onslaught roll because it sounds really fun for 6s when Bungie finally gives up on SBMM. Annoyingly, it comes from Gambit, and has a perk pool the size of Bungie's revenue miss, so it's gonna take some serious soul searching to go out and get one. Next up is Breakneck's main competitor this season, Tiger's Bite. This thing is just really fucking awkward in almost every way. It's got solid range because it can get fragile focus, but its only damage perks are Frenzy and Kill Clip, which just function as worse Adagio alternatives on 450s. Its origin trait grants mobility and handling, but requires an ADS after you've taken damage, which just seems janky as hell. All around, I'm just not sold on Tiger's Bite. That's not to say it's bad, because it isn't. It just kind of sucks that it got shafted out of Adagio or Rampage, which both would have slapped on a 450. Next up is the Scout Rifle. Imperative. This thing has no distractions, explosive rounds, and an origin trait that basically boils down to you don't have to reload when standing near an ally. What this means is that you can grab a buddy, find a 50-meter lane, and make some people log off. Please don't do this. In fact, forget I said anything. This weapon doesn't exist. Belisarius is the newest in a line of comp weapons you'll never get a god roll of because Bungie hates us. Stat-wise, prioritize stability and recoil direction so all 4 shots hit the same zip code, then put all your excess into handling. Don't worry about range because this thing will literally 3-burst people at 60 plus meters with no range investment at all. As for perks, Slice, Elemental Capacitor, Eye of the Storm, and Keep Away are all great in column 3, and legitimately every perk in column 4 is useful in some way. I'm personally fiending for a Zen Moment roll because that perk is busted beyond belief, but Kill Clip and Headseeker are both extremely tempting. If 1300 kills on Revision 0 have taught me anything about aggressive burst pulses, it's to run them with a shoddy, as the flexibility of said loadout is off the charts. You can absolutely cook people trying to fusion you by staying 10 meters away, pan-fry snipers by flinching them to high hell, and saute other shotgunners by knowing your handling speed and clean up 1-burst ranges due to your aim assist window being forgiving enough for close range situations. Higher handling will make it better for shotgun cleanups, but stability will make 2 bursts more plausible. These things are nuts, but they take some getting used to, so be patient. And please, for the love of all that is not cringe, play aggressive. Passive pulse players frequently behave like they don't have one. Scalar Potential is basically a worse version of Oversoul Edict because it doesn't have a good damage perk. However, Keep Away and Headseeker combo to create what is essentially a super consistent burst SMG with 40 meters of effective range. Every time I run up against a 540 pulse, I legitimately wonder how Bungie let them in the game. They are beyond busted on controller, and I've hated them ever since Peace of Mind. They're here to stay though, and Bungie refuses to nerf the frankly disgusting amount of flinch and range they have, so the suffering continues. On to an actual fun weapon. Adhortative is a 390, the only close to balanced pulse frame, and it has a really fun combo with Golden Tricorn and Atheros Embrace for a killer weighted knife build. Heal Clip is mid, but that's probably your best perk for column 1 unless you value 5 range enough to run shoot to loot or hit enough shots to make attrition orbs work for you. Column 4 pretty much forces you to run Golden Tricorn because 390s really aren't competitive without a damage perk. Its origin trait, Nano Munitions, is also solid, so it does have a bit of juice. Overall, it's a fun weapon, but don't expect too much out of it. It's there for fun, not to be broken like every other pulse frame. Next up, already really good by default with a special ability for any kind of damage buff on top of that to make it go insane, Incisior is this season's terrifying new threat to primary gunplay as we know it. Basically, in Zen Moment we trust, and Kill Clip is there to be funny. As a side note, target lock does basically nothing on traces, so don't bother. This thing should melt, and I'm scared of it in a big way. Traces are already solid, and Incisior will demonstrate why Zen Moment probably just shouldn't be on one. Play it like an auto rifle, and you'll understand what I mean if you can actually get connections solid enough to support a trace rifle in the first place. Scatter Signal is the last atrocity machine I'm talking about today. This thing is cancer. Its stats absolutely clown on basically every other option, and enhanced under over means you can one-burst healing rifts, woven mail users, and void over shields alike. I've played some Iron Banner with this thing, and all I've got to say is may blueberries rue the day SBMM is removed, because I will commit crimes that'll make 2001 look like a fun day at the park. It fucking deletes people at absurd ranges with a frankly retarded charge rate. Lego Flash has an entire video about what to run on Scatter Signal stat-wise, but the overview is that you should spec high range with barrel and mag, use a charge time masterwork because it doesn't change damage anymore, slap on a counterbalance mod for solid recoil, and run perpetual motion to recover your stability. I hate this thing. Enough with the crimes against humanity though. There are actually actually some decent pieces of loot this season I'm going to recommend, either because they're solid, albeit worse alternatives of best-in-slot weapons, or because I think they do something fun or unique in PvP. These are Retold Tale, Marcado 45, Supercluster, Naeem's Lance, Twilight Oath, and Uzume RR4. Retold Tale is a good alternative to Matador given you know what you're doing, and you tend to clean up with your shoddy instead of your primary. The key to this setup is quick draw and snapshot, then speccing high range with corkscrew, accurized, and arranged masterwork. This gets you 90 range with a 0.36 second draw to ADS time, with a quick access sling mod, 1 targeting, and 2 dex mods. With the same mods, a Godroll Matador 64 has the draw to ADS of 0.32. Basically, unless 0.04 seconds is a deal breaker for you, the shotgun is competitive. As for stow time, Retolds is 0.07 seconds slower due to quick draw only impacting your draw speed. It also lacks the consistency that opening shot brings, so there are multiple reasons why this shotgun is worse than Matador. That being said, it's dropped from chests in Blindwell and Coil, so if you happen to get a decent roll while farming the seasonal stuff, take it for a spin. You probably won't be disappointed. Marcado is a much easier sell. It's just simply the best LMG in the game, full stop. Triple tap and Adagio is an insane perk combination for ammo conservation. The issue though is that LMGs are pretty much dog water compared to GLs right now, so it doesn't really matter that this thing is nuts for its archetype. Supercluster is basically a poor man's heritage with slide shot and fragile focus. You can achieve similar stats, but 37 less aim assist makes it feel like the hard mode difficulty option. It's a decent slug, but I'm not an expert on gastropods yet, so take my opinion here with a grain of salt. Don't put it on a slug though, it won't like it. On to the snipers. Naeem's Lance is the first strand sniper ever, and also dog shit. Unless you try to run an arc build with elemental capacitor, then it becomes somewhat interesting. The only issue here is the fact that column 4 is devoid of basically every good perk. Demolitionist is okay, but that's basically it. It's a fun sniper with a unique zoom value of 37, but I mean, yeah. Twilight Oath is up next, and it's quite juiced. Opening shot snapshot and 90 max handling is no joke. There's just one small issue. Again, rapid fire snipers fucking suck. Like, really bad. A headshot won't even kill your average one-eyed mask titan, so forget about supers. It's fun to whip out in casual gameplay, but similar to Naeem's, it isn't competitive in any viable way. In comparison, Uzume RR4 is the second best solar sniper in the game. In my opinion, it isn't as good as Beloved because it doesn't have box breathing you counter well with Radiance, but it is an adept weapon, which means with an adept mod, you can get 9 more handling than Beloved. It rolls Snapshot and Discord in the 3rd column, and Explosive Vorpal and Golden Tricorn in the 4th. Discord or Golden Tricorn are fun for goofy clips, and I kinda want to try out something like that. As for the sniper itself, I have a roll with max handling Snapshot and Vorpal from back when it was first introduced to the game. It's insane, but it doesn't feel good to me. It's like the best chocolate ice cream you've ever eaten, but your favorite flavor is vanilla. It just feels off. That being said, lots of people like it, so maybe I'm just the weird one. Finally, let's talk about the only meta contender this season, Eye of Soul. Speccing fully into handling will get you 100 with Perpetual Motion. My problem with Perpetual Motion on a sniper specifically, though, is that more variables will impact your ADS time, and when precision is your goal, inconsistency fucking blows. You know what else blows? Shit bullet registration, because console hit reg is more of a joke than the chances of me ever. Point is, there is in fact a slick draw roll that would be killer if this game functioned as intended. Paired with snapshot and max range to squeeze in a bit of consistency, this roll allows for a blazing fast 0.37 draw to ADS. Unfortunately, D2 sucks, so your shots will never land due to projectiles having travel time at the engine level, 10-year-old hardware, and ping existing being kind of a bad mix. Thus, we can only dream. That being said, the role that is not only viable, but might legitimately be a problem in the future, is max handling with moving target and opening shot. Running 1 targeting and 1 dex still gives you a draw to ADS of 0.5 seconds, while also having a disgusting 100 aim assist and 88 range on your first shot. This is the role most people will chase, as it's literally magnetic. I have no idea how a sniper with high handling and 100 aim assist got past testing, but, well, here it is, so go get it. For me personally, I really want to try out a snapshot fragile focus roll so I can see if range really makes a difference consistency-wise. I know it improves aim assist at range, but I'm not convinced it's better than just going for more raw aim assist, because in a tough console match, the only time you're hitting a snipe on someone that far away anyway is if you catch them out of position with radar manip or a 47+ meter flank from out of radar range, because at that point, if someone is even minimally strafing, the singular potato that all console connections are routed through gets confused and your shot won't register like 50% of the time. Well, there's your list of guns I find interesting this season. Like, sub. I stream 4 days a week on Kick, so follow the stream. Keep yourself safe. From me, if you main fusions, I'm out.